The new society created after the Industrial Revolution was really unequal. The industrial workers, lived and worked under very hard living conditions, but very soon they started organizing themselves to improve their way of living. The labor movement was formed by the groups of workers organized to pressure factory owners and governments. There were different ways of pressuring. Luddism. It was a movement based on the destruction of factory machines. According to Ludditz, the workers lost their jobs due to new technologies that replaced the skilled workers. From this point of view, of course, the elimination of machines will solve the problem, because owners of factories will need to hire again workers to work if they have no more machines. Chartism. This movement was a pacifist one and with political goals. It was called Chartism because the movement presented a People's Charter to the British Parliament demanding labour rights and universal suffrage. At that time, workers couldn't vote, so the goal of having the right to vote, the universal suffrage, was an important one because it's the first step to gain more and more power, representation in the Parliament, and later power to decide and get better living conditions and better working conditions. Trade unions. During the 19th century, people did not receive any help from the state in case of sickness, accident, death, or just the end of their working life at an elder age. So, workers formed mutual aid societies to help members in case of illnesses or unemployment. It was difficult at the beginning because the right of association wasn't allowed until 1824. Since 1824, workers replaced their mutual aid societies for trade unions. These trade unions were associations of workers demanding better working conditions, higher salaries, shorter work days, end to child labor, shorter female work days, etc. The way they put pressure on owners of the companies were the strike. Workers refused to work until certain demands were met. Philosophers considered this new society and this new economy the same way the Enlightenment thinkers criticized the old regime. The German philosophers Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels published an important essay in 1848, The Communist Manifesto. According to this work, society was divided between oppressors and oppressed, and it existed a class struggle between them. Before the Industrial Revolution, oppressors were the nobility and clergy because they owned the means of production. After the Industrial Revolution, the bourgeoisie is the new oppressor class. Peasants were the oppressed during the old regime, and industrial workers during and after the Industrial Revolution. Marx and Engels solved the problem of this unfair society by one way. That's the revolution. According to Marxism, after the revolution, there would be a stage of proletarian dictatorship, just to eliminate the enemies of the workers. Once the revolution was secured, the new society will be created, without classes, social classes, and without private property. At that point, the state would disappear, because of course, it won't be necessary. Political parties with social goals were created since 1875. They were the socialist parties. Pierre-Joseph Proudhon and Mikhail Bakunin founded a new ideology, anarchism. The anarchism believed in workers' self-organization and opposed any form of state. They believed in collective use of property, rejection of political parties and elections. But they shared with communists the way of achieving their goals. That's the revolution. Labor organizations tried to unify an international way of working. So they created the first International Workingmen's Association in 1864, but it failed due to disagreements between anarchists and socialists. 25 years later, socialists created the Socialist International to coordinate Marxist labor organizations.